Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to begin with the eighth chapter of biology, that is cell, its structure and its function. In this chapter, we will be paying emphasis to the topics such as discovery of cell theory, unicellular organism, multicellular organism, plant cell, animal cells, and growth and division of cell. Now, all of us have seen the plants like rose, marigold, sunflower, mushroom, and many others. We also know the animals like dog, cat, horse, camel, lion, and many others. In fact, there is a large variety of organisms, that is, plants and animals around us. They have different shape and size. Their food habits and their habitats are also different. In spite of great variation in the size, shape, food habits, and habitats, all the living organisms have the basic similarities among them. They all are made up of tiny units called cell. Thus, in biology, cells are the structure and functional unit of life. In order to understand the structure and functional unit of organism, we should know the structure of cell, the functions of the various part of the cell. So in this chapter, we will study the basic part of the cell and role played by these part in the working of cell. Before we go further and study how cell was discovered, we should know the meaning of term cork, which was used in the discovery of cell. Cork is a part of a bark of the tree, which is a dead plant material. So the first topic that we will be coming across is discovery of the cell. In 1665, an English scientist named Robert Hooke used a microscope to investigate the structure of a thin slice of cork. He observed that cork had a tiny compartment in it. Robert Hooke thought of these compartments as small rooms and called them cells. From this observation, Robert Hooke concluded that the cork is made up of tiny cells. The dead plant cells of cork observed by Robert Hooke was found to be empty. The microscope used by Robert Hooke was primitive. When better microscope having greater magnifying power were made, then scientists investigated pieces of living plants and found that like cork, they also had a cell structure. The living plant cells were, however, not empty like cork cell. They were found to contain a number of tiny structures called organelles. In 1838, a German scientist, Skeldon, suggested that all plants are made up of cells. A year later, another German scientist, Swan, suggested that all animals are made up of cells. We should know that Matthias Skeldon investigated plant cell and Theodor Swan investigated animal cell, and these observations led to a general cell theory of organism. Cell theory. Cell theory states that the basic unit of structure and function of all living organisms is the cell. A cell arises from pre-existing cells by cell division. The cell have been present in the living organism, that is plants and animals, since the origin of life. The cells were, however, not studied or observed for thousands of years because most of them are extremely small and cannot be seen with the naked eyes. It was only when microscopes having high magnification power were made in the 17th century to magnify things greatly that cell could be seen in living organisms. These days, microscopes can enable us to see the object as small as 1 millionth of meter, that is 10 to the power minus 6 meter. Such high magnifying power microscope have helped the scientists to study the minute details of cells, which we will be study the cell in detail. Now let us learn about unicellular and multicellular organelles. As we know, the organisms such as amoeba, paramecium, bacteria are made up of one cell. These are the examples of unicellular organelles. Although made up of single cell, they perform all the activities necessary for life. They grow, move, digest food, give out waste, and reproduce. All these activities are carried out by a single cell. Plants and animals that you can see around you with the naked eyes are made up of many cells. They are called multicellular organisms. It is estimated that a fully grown humans have about 1000 trillion cells. All multicellular organisms begin life as a single, which is a fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell multiplies and number of cells increase as the organism develop. As we know, in multicellular organism, the cell combine to form tissue combines to form organ combine to form organ system, and organ system combines to form an organism. In the organization of the of the living world, cell represent the lowest level, called cellular level. Life activities in a multicellular organism are performed by group of specialized cell forming different tissues, which in turns form organs. Now, let us learn about variation in shapes and sizes. As we know, in multicellular organisms, cells have a specific job to do. So they have different shapes and size. For example, nerve cell, which have a fiber that may be more than 1 meter long. Its function is to pass the message from one nerve cell to the another along these fibers. And you can see the figure of the nerve cell, which passes the message from one nerve cell to the another. The next is muscle cell, which expands and contracts. Their long, thin shape help them to do this. The outer layer of skin forms a protective cover over your body. Their flat shape help them to cover a large area. The WBC, that is white blood cell present in the blood, can change their shapes. This helps to destroy germs. This is a figure of muscle cells. Now, plant cells. Plant cells are located on the outer part of the stem, give strength to a plant. These cells have a thick wall for support. Some cells in plants are used to store food. These cells are larger than other cells. The egg of a bird is only a single cell. An ostrich egg measures 170 millimeter into 130 millimeter is the largest single cell. The smallest cell is the bacteria cell that measures 0.001 millimeter to 0.005 millimeter. And the smallest cell in the human body are the red blood cell. They are about 0.007 millimeter in diameter. A typical cell is about 0.02 millimeter in diameter. It can only be seen through a powerful microscope. In plants like jute and hemp, the fiber cell are few centimeter long. Now, an amoeba is a unicellular organism with no definite shape. It's pseudopodia, that is false feet, which help them to move and feed and keep appearing and disappearing. That's all for today. We will be covering the rest of the topic in the next video. Thank you.